What's the most unusual conversation you've had with Sean Strickland? Doesn't matter what it's about. What up, everyone? Shakiel Mahjouri here for CBS Sports, and you know who this is. He has led the likes of Francis Ngannou and Aljamain Sterling to UFC gold, and he can do it again when Sean Strickland challenges Israel Adesanya for the middleweight title at UFC 293 on Saturday. Legend has it he's still burning off those 8 tacos he had for lunch yesterday. Xtreme Couture coach Eric Nicksick, how's it going, my man?
Bro, I actually ate a burrito for dinner last night too, and I realized like, dude, I ate 8 tacos and a burrito today. This is bad. I need help.
Damn, I wanted to go to Tacos El Gordo last time I was out there, but the line was just like ridiculous at a 1 a.m. on a Saturday. But there's a good taco joint like down the block if you can't stomach the wait.
Nice. No, I'm a tacos or gordo guy, right around the corner from the gym. So I got the sweet spot. I go about 1:30 in the afternoon. There's no one in there, so it's good.
Who at the gym? You guys are running a full camp there. Lots of hungry fighters, I'm sure, especially when they're out of training camp. All you can eat buffet. Who is putting down the most food at Xtreme Couture MMA?
Oh, it's me, Brad Tavares, and Ty Gorder for sure. If you throw Ray Sefo in the mix, we'll put somebody out of business. But myself and Brad Tavares, bro, we can eat. So we'll go do like Korean barbecue, and they're finally like, you guys got to go. Like your time limit's up. All you can eat sushi. It's bad. It gets absurd.
Hey man, Vegas can be a pricey place. So I mean, if you're making it your money, you got to stretch out the dollars where you can. Next sec.
100%.
All right. Let's talk a little bit about the fight. Of course, that's what we're here for. And I saw in other interviews you kind of mentioned that you stay ready so you don't got to get ready.
Yeah.
And the way we got to UFC 293 a little unusual, right? It was originally supposed to be that Dricus du Plessis fight. He couldn't make the short turnaround, and we basically got up to a month before the card, before UFC president Dana White officially announced Adesanya versus Strickland. How far in advance did you guys sort of gauge that this might be a real possibility? And I know you guys are always training, but is there anything different about how you approach training when you think there's a big fight like this on the horizon, but you don't know for sure?
It's a good question. I think like historically, you would love to have a target date in mind, know when you're fighting, but this was such a different instance where it just you couldn't not train because you didn't want to just be sitting around twiddling your thumbs at the possibility and then go, oh man, we're so far behind the 8 ball that we don't have time to do it. So it's great when you have an athlete like Sean who just loves to be in the gym anyway. So whether you're preparing for Israel Adesanya or you're Sean Strickland and helping Brad get ready for his fight or Sadabu get ready for his fight, inherently you're getting good work in. So I think just by design, we were fortunate enough to be prepared no matter any way that you sliced it. And, in the back of your head, you're like, man, we might be fighting for a title. So let's stay prepared. Let's stay ready because this opportunity only knocks every once in a while and maybe never. So we have to be ready to open that door.
What's going to, you mentioned in other interviews that you feel like Sean is kind of starting to trust the coaching advice coming his way a little bit more. And I know you guys have been drilling the wrestling in anticipation for this fight, but Sean can be a bit of a wild card, He kind of does what Sean wants to do sometimes. What's going to be the biggest difference between the Sean Strickland that fought Alex Pereira on the feet and unfortunately suffered that early KO loss and the one that's going to fight Israel Adesanya on Saturday?
Well, you would hope that he approaches this with I think a more wide, diverse MMA skill set rather than, I'm going to outstrike arguably one of the best strikers to ever do it in the game. Can Sean do that? Yes, he can, with the preface of he has to make Israel think about the other aspects of the game as well. Because if you just go striking for this guy, it's going to be a long night for us. So it's going to be important for us to mix things in. I don't think that's any secret. I don't think we're giving away our game plan. But knowing Israel Adesanya and seeing his evolution, it's also not going to be easy. When Brad fought him, we made some of the mistakes of like, hey, we're going to run doubles. And his split was so wide, it was hard to collapse the hands together. So there were some adjustments that we had to make there. So I think speaking anecdotally, like with the things that we suffered when Brad fought him, helped me a little bit understand more And then seeing
Mm.
when he fought Jan Blachowicz, there's a couple of things that I think that we could try to work on to exploit. Now, will Sean be able to execute those things? That's a whole different story. And I got to believe a guy like Izzy, although he's winning the fights mostly on his feet, I just know that where he comes from in his camp, they're working on the little things to close the gap to make his game better and all around, full MMA skill set on their end as well. So it was the same thing that happened with us and Francis. Although Francis was knocking people out, we were working on all those other things to where we had to show it in the Cyril Gane fight, and people went, "Oh wow, this guy can actually wrestle." Well, it's because during the off season and during the times in and out of camp, you work on those types of things. So hopefully, we're going to need a lot of things to go right for us and some things to go wrong for Israel. And we have to try to push that pace and put Sean in the best positions to win.
What I really appreciate about your analysis is it's very honest, and we all have our biases, but I feel like you painted a very clear picture of what, Sean. People were asking in the comment section, thank you for retweeting my post over on Twitter, what makes you think Sean can win the fight? And he's probably going to enter this as a betting underdog. And I love the fact that you recognize the challenges ahead. Ray Longo is a guy I know, phenomenal coach, outstanding person. He can get quite emotional. For you, when you craft a game plan for a fighter, like you mentioned with Brad Tavares, and maybe it didn't play out, or maybe there's things you missed or didn't expect the other fighter to bring to the table, how do you digest that as a coach? Is it, well, we tried our best? Do you get upset? Like, we talk so much about the pressures on the fighter, but how do you as a coach react or respond when your fighter goes there and loses, and you might feel like you played a role in that?
Yeah, I think accountability is huge for me. And I think when you're a finger pointer, all it does is create dissension amongst the team and amongst other individuals. And I see that quite a bit. A fighter might lose. And in the back, I notice, like, in the past, guys leave crumbs behind. And, they might show up late for 3 or 4 practices. They miss a practice here or there. They're not putting 100% effort in. And when a fight happens and you might lose a close split decision, I always look at, like, hey man, did those things that where you left some crumbs behind, did that ultimately affect the wins and losses? And me as a coach, I have to go to accountability right away. Hey, did I do everything I could to prepare my fighter better? And right away you think, okay, no, I didn't. I could have done this better. I could have done this better. And I think it takes a little bit of the blame off of everyone. I take accountability right away. And then at the end of the day, what happens? Well, the fighter says, "Oh, you know what, coach, I didn't give the best effort I should have in this regard or this areas." So instead of like finger pointing, I think accountability goes first and foremost, and then it opens the reception up to communication.
One of my favorite sort of MMA interviews I've seen over the last year is when Nina Drama brought in that etiquette coach to teach Sean a few things. Has any of that rubbed off? Have you noticed a change in his demeanor?
You know, Actually, I have, and I wouldn't say it was the etiquette coach by any means, but um, I say this, and you hear me echo this in a lot of interviews. And dude, he's just such a great teammate. He really is, and I know he rubs people the wrong way. What did Luke Thomas call it? The edgelord routine or whatever. Like, I get that, and Luke and I are very close. Like, we talk a lot, and I think when you really understand who and what Sean Strickland's about, with his upbringing and the way he's been, brought through the gym systems and things like that, he was an outlier for a reason. But now he feels a part of a community. And I watch this guy in the room, and he cares about his teammates. He cares about your wins and losses. He's here. He makes himself available. He sparred yesterday at noon, came back at 3:30, other than just to watch his teammates spar and help Chris Curtis and Jalen Turner and some of the guys who are on the mat. So you see like this transformation in this guy where he was this outcast outlier. And over the years, like, there was areas I think, like, as a coach, I can teach him and coach him and help guide him in certain regards. He had one practice where it was his delivery, right? Like the way he says things to guys, and it comes off like, you know what, man, screw you. Like, I'm not going to listen to this guy. And Sean's like, well, that wasn't the reception I thought I'd get. And I go, well, let me replay what you said to a bunch of alpha males, and this is the response that you got. But let's flip the script and let's say it like this. What if you said, hey guys, that was a great practice. Here's some areas that I was getting the better of you on that we should work on to get better, and yada, yada, yada. And he goes, oh yeah, that sounds way better. Maybe I'll try that next time.
I
And so
love that.
yeah, and he takes that. He's coachable, and he's like, no, you know what? You're right, coach. I think that's a better approach. And honestly, God, this to me has made him such a more likable guy around the room. The guys love him.
Yeah, like I don't want to get into like social politics thing, so I'll just leave it here. I think that's a really important lesson that when you sort of like lead with love and understanding and openness and you try and show people alternate points of view as opposed to just hammering them on the things you don't like about them, I think you see more progress in the direction that sort of benefits
Absolutely.
everyone.
And think about like the hierarchy of needs, right? What is one of them is self-accusation, feeling a part of something, right? So for me, I gave Sean responsibilities. Hey, I need you to do this to make sure the team is doing this correctly.
Mm.
And what does that do to him? He feels a part of something and he takes that and runs with it. Sean, I need to make sure that this and this and this is done. And Sean goes, you got it, coach. Now he feels like he's a part of the team and a part of something, and his say means something. So he's not this outlier anymore that just shows up
Yeah.
to spar and beat up your guys. No, no, no. He's a part of Xtreme Couture, and he's a part of this leadership role that he has here. And I think by giving him that, now he feels like he's a part of something bigger.
Last thing on Sean very quickly before we move on to the back half here. He told Nina recently, quote, I probably should wrestle, but that's probably not going to happen. Do you believe that Sean isn't going to wrestle come fight night?
Who the hell knows? Like who the hell knows? I'll tell you this. I know he's working on it. And I know that there's, it makes for a boring style of fight that I said, hey, if the crowd's booing, we're winning. We're doing our job. But at the end of the day, I know Sean. I know he's a showman. And I love him, bro. I love the his heart, his spirit. And if he wants to go out on a shield, then let's go out on a shield. It's not what I suggest. It's not what but it's also not a video game. I can't control him the way I want to control him, but I can help try to guide him and put him in the best case scenarios to win the fight. So I'm hoping he mixes some things up, and those guys know, we're gonna try to wrestle. It's no secret. Definitely have to. We definitely have to try to blend some of that stuff in.
I know that at least at the last time you talked about it, Dewey Cooper was playing a bigger role in Francis Ngannou's preparation to fight Tyson Fury. Obviously, you had Iron Mike in the gym, which must have just been so surreal. Come fight night, like, what's your role going to be? Are you planning on being in a leadership capacity here? Like, what's his actual coaching staff going to look like as we get closer and closer to fight night?
Yeah, so he brought in this guy John from France. He just came in yesterday. Obviously, we were working with Mike. He's been working with Dewey. He has me as well, but I'm literally probably like the third in line. I'm there for every practice. We're there every day, but I'm more of that kind of support role, if anything, which I love because, I got to learn some stuff. I got to learn some stuff from Mike, learning stuff from John now, seeing the way Dewey runs more of the boxing side of things. And I know for my role is I'm his brother. It's more of a support system for me. So there's times where, in the middle of the round, he'll look over at me just because it's just a different voice or a voice that he's known for the last 5 years and we can connect on some stuff. So, as far as game plan stuff goes, I gave my thoughts and ideas on our approach and what I think would be good. And he could take that and use it. And if not, hey, more power to him. But right now I'm his brother and his number one fan, and I'm the guy kind of helping holding the bucket, if you will.
How involved is Mike Tyson in the day-to-day here? Because you have some people questioning, like, is this more of a promotional angle, or is Mike really like in the weeds here with Francis and preparation?
It's more of a promotional angle, but anytime you get Mike involved, it's good. It's good to have, and Mike came in, did some work with them the first 2 days here in Vegas, and then they just were out in LA. Mike got some work with him out there. Obviously, due to proximity, he's not going to be there full time and doing a lot of the training. But when you have a guy like Mike, dude, it's unbelievable experience. It really is. Not only like the wealth of knowledge, but the intensity. Like you feel the intensity when that dude's in the room. You're like, holy hell.
Yeah.
And
no amount of weeds and shrooms can completely kill the animal.
Oh
Tyson,
man,
right?
Yeah, for sure. That's like, bro, what do we got going on today? So and here's the great thing is usually in areas I feel like Francis will, hey, all right, I'm good, I'm tired, I'm done, or whatever. He would push through these workouts because I know that he didn't want to disappoint Mike. Mike would be like, no, we got one more. We're doing this, and we're doing this cardio, we're doing these push-ups, and As every time I felt like Francis had met his breaking point, he would look over at Mike Tyson and be like, "No, I got to do it. I got to do one more. I got to get this through it." And I just love that mentality. And Mike is really pulling the best out of Francis every time he's around.
I know you've sort of picked the mind of some people in the boxing world to sort of help with the knowledge that you want to share with Francis heading into this. And one of the things you mentioned is, Francis probably isn't going to win a straight on technical boxing match against one of the greatest to ever do it. What mistake you mentioned, kind of making it awkward, making it MMA, making it a brawl, and it's an approach that other fighters have taken. What mistakes do you think the likes of Conor McGregor, Anderson Silva, Nate, Tyron have made in their boxing pursuits that Francis should maybe look at as a cautionary tale when approaching this fight?
That's a great question. And, it'd be hard for me to say what mistakes they made without me being in the camp and seeing it firsthand. But I think that when I look at how pure, how clean, how crisp guys are in the boxing, some of that unconventional approach might be where we call them in the room, we call them boogers. Like, oh, that guy's a booger. And it's not like, you're trying to be dismissive of the person. It's just because things come from weird angles, and they're erratic. And it's not like this clean style of boxing where it's like, oh, parry, jab, right? It's like parry slip, weird overhand comes from a different angle that I wasn't expecting. Or this guy's using southpaw to step into the right overhand or from switch stances and things like that. So what we've done in MMA for Francis, and you kind of see it in the Stipe fight where we did switch stances quite a bit. And you see him do the drop step to a left head kick or the switch uppercut that dropped him in the second round and things like that he does really well. Well, those come from unconventional angles. So I think when we have to create an approach, I definitely feel like coming from unconventional angles that most boxers aren't accustomed to will at least help. Now, it doesn't mean we're going to knock the guy out with it or, we're going to have this huge wild success. I just don't know. But at the end of the day, I feel like if we can kind of go from that unbeaten path, then I think we can have some success with it.
Last thing before we finish, just on a couple lighthearted rapid fire bits. One fan has been dying to ask you this question for a long time, so I wanted to give him the love back there. He was wondering, particularly with your experiences as a coach as well as your background in football, we've seen how in major team sports, just like the sports science and the radical improvement of the athletes has been really marvelous to watch. What do you see as the next big evolution in MMA, whether it's a particular style or technique or more sports science? What do you see as sort of creating this next big boom in MMA?
That's an awesome question. And to be honest with you, the strength and conditioning has taken a whole new turn. The one thing that I have noticed too is the overtraining, right? When you first started off in MMA, guys were just, man, if you weren't training 8 hours a day, you were not doing it right. And I'm starting to learn too that rest has become one of your biggest workouts of the day, right? One of the most important workouts of the day, and getting situational sparring in, situational drills. So it's not always about live goes. And certain guys relish in live goes, right? The Sean Stricklands of the world. You can't put him in a situation where it's like, hey, we're gonna do X, Y. He wants to fight. He wants to go hard. He wants to do this and that. But there's also something to be said about situationals and low impact on the body and putting yourselves in situations where, you're not having to go 110%. On top of that, the brain health. How are you taking care of your brain health? Now, for me, being at Xtreme Couture for 16 years now, I've had guys that come through this gym that, they were sparring so hard and they were fighting in the room. And it was the some of the best sparring sessions you're ever going to see, but they're leaving for it. So I think understanding that, hey, sparring hard is good at time to time, but also what are you doing to the brain health for the longevity of your career? And having guys like Jay Haran and Martin Campman, guys that have been a part of that, and they can speak on that and know like the exit plans and things like that, I think have really helped me adapt better as a coach and knowing how to keep my fighters fresh and not having that burnout and being able to getting into a fight at their peak phase.
Love it. Eric, I had a bunch of rapid fires, but we still have another video to shoot that the fans can watch as of the time this is out. So I just want to leave you with one rapid fire question, okay? And then
we got time. I got 15 more minutes. We got time. So
okay, let's I want to get the other thing. So I'll leave you this one just for fun. What's the most unusual conversation you've had with Sean Strickland? Doesn't matter what it's about.
So he's getting his hands wrapped for his last fight. and it was we were talking about a plane crash scenario, and like, who do we eat first? Like, and like,
There's a show on HBO about this.
Yeah, and I don't know who. I mean, so it's me, Chris Curtis, Tate. Tate is rapping Sean, Danny Davis, and then Alex. So all four of us are in there, and it's based on a plane crash and who becomes the cannibal and who do we eat this and who do we that. And it was funny because right away we're just like, okay, so if we all get in a plane crash and we all survive, even if Sean's still alive, we have to kill Sean. Like, we just have to kill him right away because Sean's going to end up killing everybody else before we need to kill anybody, and because he's going to start eating people. So like, Tate is just wrapping Sean's hands. I think I have a video of it somewhere where I'm like, bro, like Tate, like, he's like, this is why I love coming in your guys' room, because y'all some sick motherfuckers, bro. I don't know what the hell you guys get into, what you guys talk about. We're 20, 30 minutes away, and we're going fighting for the main event. We're talking about cannibalism and who dies and who gets eaten first on the plane and all this stuff. So yeah, it's definitely some interesting conversations with Sean Strickland, that's for sure.
I love it. It's basically the plot of Yellow Jackets.
That's the one. Yeah, that's the show. Yeah, exactly.
I want to leave you with the last word, Eric. It's been such a treat, so I'll do my part very quickly. Guys, thanks so much for checking out the video. If you're still here, please subscribe, tap the bell, thumbs up. Let us know what's the weirdest conversation you have with your friends. Plus, what is your official prediction for Adesanya versus Strickland that headlines UFC 293 on Saturday? Shout out to CBS Sports, as always, for empowering the video, and the boys over at Morning Combat. Eric, if there's anything you want to let the people know, the floor is yours, my friend.
Hey, I just want to give a shout out to my teammate Maria, who just beat cancer. She's in remission. So she's the heart and soul of what we got to do. It definitely put a lot in perspective of me about gratitude, and how short, how the fragility of life, right? This girl was in our room getting ready for a fight, wasn't feeling well, checked on her health, and that was the big message Maria had to the team when she got back. She's like, guys, listen to your body, check in on your health, take care of yourself. And she went out and kicked cancer's ass, and now she's back in the room. So just want to give a shout out to my teammate Maria and the journey she's been on.